All right, thank you all so much for your patience. Let's go ahead and begin our Administration and Public Works Committee, Monday, February 10th meeting. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Kelly. Here. Councilmember Harris.
Present.
Councilmember Nieuwsma.
Here.
Councilmember Burns. Councilmember Reed. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. And we have no virtual participation. I'm looking for movement on the approval of the minutes from January 27th.
So move.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there any questions, comments? None? All right, seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No one's online. Minutes passed. Thank you so much. All right, let's move into what everybody is here for, public comment. And we're going to begin with Beth Kearney. Am I saying that? Cerny? Okay, thank you.
How many folks do we have?
Yes, you come right there.
Right.
We have three.
One online. So
And
far.
one, okay, yes. So you'll be given 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I'll give you 2.5 if.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you for listening today. I am here to ask the city to deny the agenda item A11. It's resolution number 13R25. I'm a resident of Washington, the Washington Block. I'm at 1211 Washington. We've already talked to our alderman multiple times that there is no parking for residents. Our block has a Catholic school, a preschool, a Catholic church, and the Rice Center. There is no parking from 9 a.m. until 3 p.m. in the afternoon. There is no parking is prohibited on the entire south side of the block. This, the move to purchase this property, it's someone's actual backyard that they have asked to make a separate PIN. The single family home that is being suggested to be built there is no alley access, and there is no place to actually, if they sell it to the ETH or give it to the ETHS students, they will not be building garages for that property. On top of that, the average home price in that neighborhood is $725,000. The homes that the ETH students build do not reflect the character of the neighborhood or the quality that our block deserves. I'm asking you how we can be ensured that if a home goes there, what can we do to make sure that it looks like a well-designed home and not by a group of high school students? We are all middle-class families on that block, and this is also our way to help make our children's lives better. Completely understand the mission, but this property is not the place to do that. On top of it, the property is valued under $230,000. It has been on sale for 3 years. No one is interested in this property because it is not worth the $231,000 that taxpayers are being asked to purchase this with.
Thank you. Clay Henley?
Hi, my name is Clay Henley. I live at 1203 Washington, and I want to object and have my say about this property. Heidi and Eric Sproul had this property a number of years ago and tried to do the same kind of thing, and it was denied. For some reason, the new owner, Jim Trillo, was able to get a zoning change or something to divide this property. The land portion of the property is his backyard with no access to an alley, with no parking facilities. It's valued at an assessed valuation of $120,000, and the city is willing to pay $230,000 to buy this thing. and put $100,000 worth of improvements into it and then have high school students build modular homes on our street. There's something wrong with this picture. I've lived there since 1994, and this taking care of this empty lot that nobody wants, you guys don't want to have it. And if Jim Trujillo has problems with his mortgage, make a contribution to his charity or to his, I think they call it the Butcher Boy Music Conservatory or something, and give him a contribution to help him pay his mortgage. But to build something like this in our neighborhood, when we have the Rice Center and the Catholic schools and everything else, and there's no parking, and at 3 o'clock in the afternoon when all the cars are lined up, if there's a fire or there's an emergency, you're not going to be able to satisfy it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Sharon, is Sharon here? All right. So do we start with your presentation or we speak first, just so we can let audio people know?
He's aware, yeah, he has a script.
Okay, let's rock and roll.
Good evening, council members. My name is Sharon Perino, and I'm from the 4th Ward, and I'm here to talk to you about sidewalk pedestrian safety in the business district. And yes, I have been here before.
Can you just speak into the mic?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sure, thank you. On Thursday, October 24th of last year, I took a field trip to Wheaton, Illinois. I had heard they had a very effective Walk Your Wheels program in place. I drove around the train station where I saw cyclists and visited Wheaton College, where a number of bicycles could be seen. Cyclists were safely enjoying the beautiful summer-like weather. I then walked Wheaton Central Business District and saw not one bicycle on the sidewalks. I know, sounds almost impossible to believe, but true. It was during the lunch hour where you would expect more people out on the streets and possibly on bikes. I also spoke with some of the business owners and was told that sidewalk, bike, and scooter, etc. traffic had declined significantly. I then went to the Wheaton Police Department to speak with Lieutenant Greg Klaus. And there we are. I had a bad hair day that day. We discussed Wheaton's Walk Your Wheels program that had successfully reduced sidewalk use of bikes, scooters, skateboards, and rollerblades by a whopping 80%. Yes, you heard that right. 80%, and this is how they accomplished it. The Wheaton Police Department made a public service announcement that went out to social media sites such as Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, etc.
Downtown Wheaton is a great place to be on a nice day. To help keep everyone in the downtown safe, I'd like to remind you that riding bicycles, skateboards, scooters, inline skates, or roller skates is not allowed on the downtown sidewalks. If you're visiting downtown on a bike or skates, your options are to either ride on the streets or walk your wheels on the sidewalks. This applies in the core downtown area within the boundaries of Wesley Street to the north, Cross Street to the east, Willow Street to the south, West Street to the west. Violators of the city ordinance can be fined. You should note the one exception. Riding is allowed on part of the Illinois Prairie Path that runs through the downtown on Liberty Drive, just south of the railroad tracks. We appreciate your help making our downtown a pedestrian-friendly place for all to enjoy.
Sandwich board signs were placed on all the corners of the downtown business district. What you should especially note, and I think we're going to have to push it to the next one, thank you. What you should especially note is the map which outlines what is considered to be the entire business district. Once a person hits that sidewalk, you either park or walk your bike. It also details those apparatuses that are forbidden on sidewalks, bikes, scooters, skates, and skateboards. Next, the police issuing warning tickets. A few weeks later, the police wrote tickets. A great deal of them, I was told. They ranged from $35 to $70, depending on the offense. And they continue to do so as necessary. Now, you may say to yourselves, Our police don't have time for this. They're out chasing the bad guys. After the initial startup by the police, the majority of tickets are written by their Consumer Services Division, or in our case, could be addressed by parking services. We are all pedestrians, even those individuals who may be riding a bike, a scooter, etc. today, will be walking the sidewalks of downtown Evanston tomorrow. This is safety for all. One government official informed me that it would be against ADA regulations to have sandwich boards on the sidewalks. Evanston's downtown sidewalks have ample space. The boards would easily leave plenty of room for wheelchairs, walkers, etc. In fact, this is what is needed to be done in order to protect our disabled, making the sidewalks what they were meant to be, safe. The only wheeled objects that should be on the sidewalks are baby strollers, wheelchairs, walkers, and grocery carts. What Evanston is doing presently is ineffective. This dismount sticker is the size of a postage stamp as it is displayed. Superman with his X-ray vision would be hard-pressed to see these stickers. And as you can see,
You have about 35 seconds left.
they're ignored. Enforcement is key. Without consequences, most individuals will do as they please. Our state law prohibits riding on sidewalks in business districts. We also have a well-defined and detailed city ordinance 10-9, which states the same. In summation, notification to the public by the use of public service announcements, signage that is visible and comprehensive, issued warnings, ticketed fines on a continuing basis. Anyone interested in reviewing this presentation, please scan the displayed QR code. Thank you.
Thank you. And it's my understanding we have one person online. Mary Rosinski, are you out there? Mary, if you can hear my voice, unmute. Okay, she's not there. So that concludes public comment. Anybody else in the room think okay? Thank you so much. We will move into the consent agenda. Are there any items we wish to pull from the agenda to have discussion on?
I'd like to pull item A7, please.
In item A11,
Also A15.
All right, Councilmember Burns, anything?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right. The items that have been pulled, I don't know how Mayor Biss keeps up with that. A7, A11, and A15.
So I will move the consent agenda, less items A7, A11, and A15.
Is there a second on that motion?
second.
All right, it has been moved and seconded. Are there any questions on the vote before us? All those in favor of the consent agenda minus A7, A11, and A15? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Hearing no opposition left, it moves. A7. Councilmember Nieuwsma.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I will move item A7, which is a change order number 2 to the contract with Bodala Incorporated, doing business as Central Rug and Carpet for the Ecology Center renovation. This is bid 23-55.
Is there a second?
Second.
Has been moved and seconded. Discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask about the AV equipment, which is being budgeted for $188,000. And since this project seems to be going significantly over budget, I want to consider whether or not we need to do this AV equipment at this time.
Councilmember Nieuwsma. My name is Shane Carey, project manager and architect on the Ecology Center project. There is synergy with doing the AV equipment at this time. One of the items that is in the scope for this work is an underfloor hearing loop. And if we were to do that at a later time, that would definitely require removing the newly installed flooring, finished flooring, and then reinstalling a new finished flooring. Additionally, we are running a lot of electrical wires as a part of this project. And so we're already in those spaces. We're already doing this kind of work. So it works best if we do it at the same time. It is possible to do it at a later time, but there are reasons why the costs will probably
But the cost
increase.
would go up. Okay. And what we're talking about here is putting in place something that did not exist in the previous iteration of the building.
That is correct. This is an improvement to the Ecology Center multipurpose room.
Okay. So what's driving the desire to make this improvement?
My understanding is
I
that
think-
staff has heard from the community that we have a need and a desire for more rentable spaces that can be used for broadcasting and recording committee and board meetings. And this scope of work would allow that. Currently,
No, go ahead and finish, then I'll
Okay.
reach her.
As of right now, I believe that we have this council chamber, the Bobby's room at the Levy Center, and the Parasol room up on the 4th floor in this building are the only rooms that have this kind of equipment in it.
And we're about to lose 2 of those.
Right.
In this building. We will have one room at 909 Davis with recording capabilities?
I would
Yes,
have
that
to-
is correct.
Okay. All right. And it looks like Councilmember Ravel wants to weigh in here too.
Sorry.
If I could, thank you, committee.
Yes.
It would be really terrific for the Ecology Center to have a facility where we can have hybrid ward meetings. We have no large meeting room on the north side of Evanston. Currently, we have to have our ward meetings at the Parasol room, which is fine, except it's quite a ways for 7th Ward and 6th Ward residents to go. And so it'd be really great to have this extra amenity at the Ecology Center.
Yeah. I guess I'm just kind of balking at the price tag for,
I don't know about the recording,
yeah.
the broadcasting part, but to have it, to be able
hybrid.
to have, a hybrid ward meeting would be really great.
Okay. So would we do this work eventually, I guess is my question. We would end up doing this type of work in this space later, but it makes sense while the floors are open, the wires are running to just do instead of backwards. Was this going to happen anyway?
Members of the committee, my name is Laura Biggs. I'm the city engineer. As we looked at all of our boards and commissions and talked about where everybody's going to be meeting as we move into our new 909 Davis City Hall space, it became clear that simultaneously there's been a request multiple times from residents and from council members to have rooms to meet in where there are all the boards and commissions could be recorded and broadcast if necessary. And that's not something that generally exists outside the city council chambers. It's very limited. So in order to make that happen, as we're already doing a pretty substantial project, and as Councilmember Ravel stated, we don't have that many large buildings on the north side with these big meeting rooms. This was seen to be a good fit.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Kelly.
Thank you. So we have the hearing loop system. That's in all those places that we identified. So folks with hearing aids.
The hearing loop system is installed at the Levy Center, the Bobby's
Okay.
room in Levy Center. I believe that that's the only place in the city of Evanston amongst our buildings that has that.
And will we have a hearing loop system at 909?
I don't know the answer to that question. I'm sorry.
I will have to verify that.
Okay. I would think that should be top priority. And what was the original bid? What was the original price tag on this?
The original contract
Yeah.
was $2.3 million.
2.3 million.
Yes, 2.3 million.
Okay, so it's now up to 3.4
For
million. So it went from 2.3 to 3.4.
rounding, of course.
Sure. Okay, that's some big change orders.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can I have you explain what that, she brought it up, so now I'd like to know why we had to change order, why there's $1 million difference.
Well, the AV equipment was not originally included in the scope of work, so that is clearly a change order. And then the other portion of this that's important is the structural needs. We've identified some of the trusses were broken and they need to be replaced. It's kind of a shocking development to me anyhow. And there's not really any way around that. They have to be replaced.
Okay, Councilmember Kelly?
Yeah, I'm just wondering why the hearing loop wasn't in the original proposal.
So the hearing loop, the need and the desire for that only is attached to whether or not you have an audiovisual system of any kind. So originally, the scope of work for the multipurpose room did not have any speakers, didn't have any microphones. It was not, that wasn't considered.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Harris. My name is Michael Callahan. I'm a Deputy Director for Parks and Rec. And to just kind of get some context, we've been talking about the Levy Center tonight with the system that is there with the loop system and everything. When we installed that system, the cost for everything was approximately about $160,000 for all of that. Just to kind of give you some context to what these types of systems cost and what we've paid for in the past.
And how much of that is the hearing loop, and how much of that is a video camera and a screen?
So I do not have that information at this time. I just got this information earlier today.
So then,
I think.
I'm sorry. No problem. So the hearing loop system costs $15,000.
Right.
And that is in line. The Bobby's room was about $15,000 and the Ecology Center proposal is about $15,000. The rest of the equipment itself it's kind of hard to exactly identify the cost of the equipment because it's in a cost proposal that includes a lot of installation. But the AV equipment is about $99,000. The difference between $99,000 and the $187,000 has to do with installation of the wiring. We have to build a closet and do some demolition. There's a lot of construction that has to go around it in order to make sure that the AV equipment can be installed properly.
so then I have a question. Councilmember Kelly asked, were we having the hearing loop system? And I heard we weren't sure, but now you've confirmed we are.
The Ecology Center has the hearing loop system for sure.
Okay.
Councilmember Kelly's question was pertaining to 909 Davis, and
Okay,
neither Laura nor I know whether or not we have that installed.
got you. Okay. Thank you for the clarity. All right.
It just seems to me that we should be able to have AV capabilities for a significantly less price. You know, I can manage to do a hybrid ward meeting with my laptop and a webcam, and it's not a slickly professional presentation, but a significantly lower price tag. So I'm grumbling about the price.
Councilmember Kelly, did you put your light
So
back on?
part of it, the structural, I just had a question because I think the first change order for about $750,000 for the roof. So why wasn't the structural element of the roof, that issue, noted then?
Well, we did not see this problem with the roof. So this is roof joists that were in a different location, and it is a separate and completely different problem.
Okay,
So
that was,
So the previous problem had to do with deterioration from biological activity. The wood was rotting. This problem has to do with joists, trusses that have cracked.
and so the first change
Truly
order
failed.
was only addressing one part of the building?
That's correct. We were replacing the joists that we found to have become rotten and the roof and the roof deck for that. This change order includes costs for replacing all of the trusses that are remaining. And the roof is already replaced and the deck is already in place, so they're actually going to be removing it from underneath and installing it up.
Okay, so those weren't, I mean, when they were, it just seems like that might have been identified earlier. with the
We could
first-
not see
Yeah.
this portion of the roof
Okay.
structure, or roof structure.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilmember Nieuwsma.
And one last question. I think what might get me there is you mentioned if we do have the AV equipment with the hearing loop, that would allow us to rent the space to some third-party users. So there might be some income that would help eventually offset these costs.
I would defer to Parks and Rec.
Yes, that is one of the options that we have available to us, is to look at renting this room out to different programming and different opportunities for the public.
And adding these amenities increases the value of that space as rental.
The value and also just, it's one of the few places we would have that would have this amenity. So we feel that it definitely would be an asset and would be utilized.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Kelly's last question.
Yeah, just back to the roof. So has everything been inspected now? Is there any chance we're going to have to, since there've been so many change orders,
Right.
it's been expensive. Are we now?
So the entire building has been inspected now.
Okay.
We are confident that we will not be coming back for another structural change order.
Okay,
I hope to God that I don't have to come back for something else, but yes, we are in, it has all been inspected.
okay, thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions before us. All those in favor for A7, change order number 2 to the contract bid 2350, all those in favor? Aye. No one's left to oppose, no opposition. It passes, A7 passes 4-0. Thank you. On to A11, looking for motion.
I will move item A11, which is Resolution 13R25, authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute a contract for the purchase of real property located at 1222 Washington Street in the amount of $231,500.
Second.
It has been moved and properly seconded. Is there discussion?
Sure, I
Yes.
pulled it off. Yeah, I heard the residents, so I want to respond to resident concerns. I don't know, Mr. Zalmazak, if you want to talk a little bit about this. You know, I do think they do great work at the high school with the construction homes in their classes. I do think we can have affordable housing and beautiful design. One isn't exclusive of the other, and enhanced neighborhoods. So I heard the concerns. I think they are legitimate concerns. Can you respond a little bit to?
Good evening, members of the APW committee. I'm Paul Zalmazak. I serve as the Economic Development Manager. Councilmember Kelly, I only caught one of the comments from a gentleman, and it was at the very end. So are you able to summarize this briefly? Are you concerned about design?
Yeah, I think are the two residents still here? If you want to just make a quick, for Paul, if you want to explain.
Do you want to come to the microphone so everybody can hear you?
The one concern is there is absolutely zero parking as it stands on that street because of the Rice Center, because of the preschool, because of St. Nick's, and because of the Catholic Church. There is no place to park for if a single home is to be built there. There's no alley access at all. Additionally, there's drainage issues on that property. And the valuation of the property is not $231,000, as we know, because it has been on for sale for over 3 years, and no one wants to buy it. So to ask taxpayers to pay that much when the property isn't valued, then on top of that, to put a design of a home by students, and they're modular homes. There's beautiful prefab homes that you can see, you find an example in Dwell. These homes are not them. They are a step away from a modular home. I mean, look like a modular home. In the actual price of the home average is $725,000, $715,000 in that neighborhood. These homes do not reflect the value of that and would not sell for that on the open market.
Yes. Yeah, it's same difference. So if you can address any of that.
So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. So yes, the
I don't, just a point, I don't know just if much of that is to you to address more than it's for us to discuss. As a point of information, I just wanted to say that because I don't want you to feel
so I would
corner. Like some of that is for us
so I would
consider and decide how we want to approach this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I did ask for Mr. Zalmazak to address some of these concerns.
So I'm gonna give you, can you answer any of that? If you're not comfortable, then we can move on.
Well, I can only answer facts, right? So there's the issue of design is subjective.
Right.
It's not objective. And we also have affordable housing goals in the community, so we're trying to accomplish those. In terms of valuation, yes, I'll be very frank with the members of this committee and in the community. The value of a property is what the seller is willing to sell it for, and what the buyer is willing to buy it for. We have, there are some time constraints associated with this. We are trying to identify sites for a well-loved program that's been in this community for, I think, 2 decades at least. And this was a site that was identified, and it's paying $235 for it, or $231.5, I think was the price. It's above our appraised value. We received an appraisal of $165. Appraisal is a starting point. It's not. It's a point. It's just a point to start. And then okay, we talked. Parking. There are some things we have to work through still. We can provide parking on site. We could do a curb cut. Ideally, we don't. We're talking about one car for somebody that would live there, not just visiting the neighborhood to go to school, but to actually live there. Or we can work with the adjacent property owner to provide an easement on the back side of it. So there are some site concerns that we have to address. But what we really have to do is get the site under control if we're going to consider any of this. Okay. And all of it really quickly, if we can't work out any of the terms of the due diligence, we can back out of the contract.
Okay. Councilman.
If I could finish. So what was it listed for?
No, that's our, it was listed for $250.
Okay. That's what it was listed for.
Most recently, yes.
Okay. And
now let me address the concern. Yes, it's been on the market from time to time, but we also had concerns with zoning. How are we addressing the site? Would we allow a curb cut? So there have been issues up to this point. So now we're at a point where we can make this happen, particularly if it's serving a broader public good. I know certainly anytime we get into affordable housing discussions, usually it's the adjacent neighbors or nearby neighborhood that push against it. That's understood. We get it. It's a risk. We understand. We're trying to be sensitive to that, but this is very typical of how these conversations go.
so, again, I just want to reiterate that I don't think that we have to forfeit the neighborliness and enhancing a neighborhood because of affordability or creating affordable housing. I mean, that's why I hope the Urban Design Commission will be implemented soon and wrapped into the comprehensive plan. I think we really can do all of that. So I'm a little concerned that we're not considering enhancing the neighborliness of a block. Because it should be. We should want, new neighbors moving in, especially in affordable housing, to be embraced and part of that. And so we shouldn't be, saying this is how that conversation goes. That conversation shouldn't go that way if we do this right.
Thank you, Councilmember.
I'll close by saying this. We are talking about the ETHS Geometry and Construction program. They have a design. Kids learn from it. If the community doesn't like that design, then we should be giving feedback to ETHS to maybe modify it. But this is a program that's existed for literally, I think, 20 or 25 years. Somebody help me out with that. So that's why it looks the way it does.
Okay. Thank you, Councilmember Burns, and then Councilmember.
He really just said it right there. I mean, I heard the direct opposite. it sounds like what we're trying to do now, we always run into this. We're trying to get site control and acquire a property. And then following that acquisition, then we can talk about curb cuts. We can talk about maybe even design. We've even talked to the high school about potentially having some designs, not necessarily for this site, multi-unit properties. So what I'm hearing is we're trying to get site control now. I think it's fair to discuss price. You know, he talked about the appraised value, but those other things can be further fine-tuned later. But what I think we don't want to happen, and I don't know how long this property has sat vacant, is for it to sit vacant any longer. And I would imagine, because we've had some success doing these projects in the Fifth Ward as well, is that's primarily what we're trying to do here, is to make sure that this site can be brought back to its most productive use, which certainly isn't a vacant lot that's not utilized.
Thank you. Councilmember Heracottis.
Hi there. Thanks. So I just overheard the conversation, wanted to come in and let folks know. I spoke to the geometry and construction folks and also to SEPA, and they're coming to the March 17th board meeting. And the timing of the process, even if things go as fast as possible, would be that typically the home is moved there over the course of one day, and it would be, the soonest would be like August. So there's a lot of runtime, and they really, this is the first time for the Ninth Ward. I'm personally really excited that we have like this land trust, and we're working with SEPA to do some affordable housing. This is something they do every year or so, and so there'll be plenty of opportunity for the discussion around parking. And from what I understand, potentially a parking pad, but we can talk offline, and we'll have a discussion further with the whole ward.
Thank you. Councilmember Nieuwsma.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have some questions, I think, for Director Flax. First one is, there is a house already built and ready to be moved on this property. Is that correct?
No, it's under construction right now.
It's under construction now.
If you go by on Lake Street, you can see it.
Okay. And is this the same model that the class does kind of year after year?
Yes, there are minor little tweaks in some cases, but it's a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. So it's family housing, which is one of the goals of the program. And the only time we've had a different model was the very first one, which was a 1-story house, and that was the one on Jackson. And we went to the 2-story houses.
So the picture that I fetched up online here of the house at 1800 Emerson, which was installed back in July of 2023, that is essentially the same kind of house we're talking about.
Sure, it's 1804, yeah. Mm-hmm. Emerson.
Okay, I'm looking at this picture, and that seems like a fine house to me. Next question is about the SEPA and the land trust, and how does that work?
So how this works is Community Partners for Affordable Housing has a land trust. So the land is separated from the house. That reduces the cost to the buyer, which means, and it also gives a permanent affordability. And this is actually one of the best ways. I was just in a discussion last week with the assessor's office, and they work with SEPA, and these houses are, because they are income restricted permanently, they are not assessed at the same value because they can't be sold at that same value. They are restricted to households with incomes under 120% of the area median. And sometimes we're even able to successfully sell to somebody at 80 to 90% of area median. And that's not something that's going to be common at all in Evanston for a single family home.
So that family has equity in the house.
Yes, yeah. But they don't get...
It's their house.
It is their house. But when they sell, it is sold to an income eligible family, so they don't get the equity of the land. So but they still do get equity. And some people stay in their land trust home forever, and others sell and go buy something that they can own fee simple outright. We've had very good luck with, I think only one of the houses has turned over so far in all the times we've been doing these homes, so they're very stable. This is, I think our first one was in 2015. So this is coming up on this is like our 10th house.
Thank you.
Do we know if that diminishes the home cost around? I'm hearing people are saying their homes are worth $750,000 and they don't want.
It will have no impact on it from the assessor standpoint because they're looking at it as a different property because of the land trust
So it doesn't
restricting its affordability. It will not affect the other homes.
Final question from Councilmember Kelly.
So tonight that we're just authorizing the purchase of the land, correct?
Correct. That's what we're.
So are we locked into, and as a 32-year veteran teacher of ETHS, I love the design and construction, so I'm not trying to knock that, but are we locked in by buying this? Are we locked into putting that house on this land? I mean, again, I just want to emphasize, I'm sure that these neighbors are delighted. I love having SEPA. I love having a land trust to know it's going to be permanently affordable. I wouldn't want it any other way. But I also believe very, deeply that we can do a beautiful job at providing affordable housing and permanent affordable housing. It doesn't have to clash with neighborhood architecture and streetscape. So I'm just wondering, does this, by voting for this also locks us into that house?
Yes, because that's the house that needs to be moved when it's ready to be moved.
But we're only voting on purchasing the land.
Correct. But if
the
we're
house is
purchasing, it's
already
for
under
that house. The house
right.
is under construction right now.
So why is the house already under construction when we haven't voted for the purchase of the land?
They're going to build the house regardless.
Well,
And
I'm
then
sure
we
they are.
try to find places for it.
Right.
But so we have already bought the house?
We never
No,
buy the
we
house.
never buy the house.
Well, then why are we locked into moving this house?
Because they can't start their next house if they don't have a place to move it to.
I mean, I
And
feel like
each
that's
year
not
they
exactly
do one.
transparent. I mean, we should know if as a city we're locked. So it sounds to me like this is actually two things. It's not just the purchase of the land, it's the house
Is
as well.
this any different than how we've done it since the program
No.
started?
No, it's the same.
Not at all. So thank you, Councilmember Kelly, Councilmember Burns, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah, I just, again, wanted to say just that this is a long-standing program in the community. It's the same house every single time, other than, as Director Flack said, I think the one you were referencing is the one on Jackson. I would hope, though, still that we could have a conversation about design. I've met with the EHS representatives about this program in many cases. I would hope that we can have a conversation about design, especially finishes and things like that. So, let's do that. Obviously, this is the way the program has always works. We have land, they have a home. I don't think the home was designed by students. It's built by students partially, but not designed by them. I would hope we can go to them to see if something could be worked out. And that's what I was trying to suggest earlier. I feel like they've been open to having those type of conversations in the past.
Yeah, in future, we're actually going to be looking at doing things like duplexes. We have some land that we hope to be able to build duplexes on, which will give us greater flexibility. We've also talked about at various times about different sizes of homes, like could we make them for seniors that are smaller to retire? But part of the challenge is this size. This is one of the most popular classes at ETHS. There are actually 2 sections that work on these houses, and the project has to be scaled to the number of students that they're trying to engage in the program.
All right, thank you. We're going to move on.
I'm sorry, but can we see some images? I mean,
Did we
like of the street?
ask staff to bring images? Do you have images?
But on the street, just like the streetscape and what we're.
Did we ask that in advance? Did we
Okay.
ask for that?
No, I thought maybe it would be part of the presentation.
Okay. No. All right. I'm calling for the question for A11, the resolution 13R25 for the purchase of the property on 1222 Washington. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There's an outstanding vote. Are you abstaining? No, I voted. Oh, you said aye? I did. Oh, okay, thank you. So 4 ayes, no. So A11 passes. Thank you. And to wrap up this meeting, A15, I'm looking for motion.
Madam Chair, I'll move item A15, ordinance 16025, amending City Code Title 4, Building Regulations, Chapter 19, Energy Code.
Is there a second? Is there a second?
There's a second. There's going to be a second.
Yeah.
A15.
A15. If there's no second, it.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and properly seconded. Is there discussion on A15?
Yeah, I want to invite Andrew San Roman from our building department to kind of give us an overview of what we're talking about here, which at the very highest level is adoption of the most recent edition of the International Energy Code, including the above and beyond appendix, which many communities around Illinois will likely be adopting. So if you could just give us an overview of what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. Good evening, committee members. My name is Andrew San Roman. I'm the Building and Development Services Manager for the city. We're talking about the Stretch Energy Code. So just some background on this. I don't have the control up here. I don't know. We'll use the mouse. So this was, well, that went quick. Okay, here we go. So this was authorized under CEJA, Climate and Equitable Jobs Act, that the Capital Development Board was authorized to develop an Illinois Stretch Energy Code. So right now, we are required to follow the base 2021 Illinois Energy Conservation Code. The state has developed an additional pathway, an Illinois Stretch Energy Code that goes above and beyond the base energy code, and it's optional for municipalities to adopt. And so that's what's before you this evening. Just to answer a couple of questions about it, this would apply to new construction, additions, alterations without requiring the unaltered portions of an existing building to comply. It would apply to both commercial and residential. It would not apply to existing buildings as far as requiring them to retrofit. It also wouldn't apply to portions of an existing building that are not being altered in an alteration. It wouldn't apply to public schools because they have their own energy code by state regulations. They follow 2015 IECC. It is not related to the Healthy Buildings Ordinance. We got some questions about that earlier. This covers new construction, additions, alterations, so it is separate from the Healthy Buildings Ordinance. This is the energy code that new construction would be required to comply with.
All right. And so what will the impact be of adopting the stretch code on new construction?
So it comes with additional requirements above what the base energy code is. Some examples of that on the residential side of things, it requires electric readiness. So you could still select to have a natural gas stove in your house, for example, but when it's being built, it would be required to have electricity run to that area so that somebody could install an electric stove in the future. Same thing with solar ready provisions. It's required to have space set aside on the rooftop, also have a junction box ready to go. So it's ready to go for solar in the future. So it's planning ahead for that readiness. It also has additional energy efficiency requirements for both residential and commercial buildings.
And one of the reasons we're looking at this is because of a circuit court decision in California, which declared the city of Berkeley's ban on natural gas in new construction to be unconstitutional. And we were heading down that path here in Evanston, but now have to rethink based on that court decision. One of the things we can do to avoid the risk of litigation is adopt the energy code with the stretch appendix that other communities around the country, at least around Illinois, will be adopting, which does not explicitly ban natural gas. As you just mentioned, natural gas is certainly allowable, but what is going to be required is the infrastructure be included in new construction to allow buildings to be all electric.
That's correct. Yes. There are also additional energy efficiency requirements that were not a part of the base energy code. So additional measures would have to be taken. It allows for flexibility in how you acquire a certain amount of points based on the type of building, but you could meet those requirements in different ways, such as putting in electric heat pumps or using energy efficient service hot water heating, those sorts of additions, reduced air leakage. So all of that is included in the code, and buildings would be required to meet a certain level of energy efficiency based on those different options.
Right. And this adoption of this stretch code is something that was in our 2024 CARP action plan, which this council supported this time last year. The reason it didn't get done last year is because of a delay at the state level and allowing us to take this vote here locally.
That is correct. It wasn't available till January 1st of this year.
And then one last question is, could we go above and beyond this stretch code?
Yes. So the language in this stretch code requires that we cannot be less stringent if we adopt it, but we could theoretically make it more stringent.
Okay. And I think there may be some additional discussion about ways we might want to go above and beyond. But for now, I'm going to advocate for just passing the stretch code and continuing the discussion.
Thank you, Councilmember Burns.
Happy to support this. I had a conversation in preparation for the Healthy Building Ordinance discussion with Illinois Green. I don't think it's Illinois Green. Maybe it is Illinois Green Alliance and CPACE. And I think they have some pretty low interest financing for these type of energy efficient building improvements that could go towards supporting commercial real estate building owners. That being said, if we want to go further than this, I just want to make sure we are incorporating feedback from building owners. It's especially right now, I don't think it'd be difficult to get a hold of them and get them in the room and just to bring them along on this. So I want to make sure that happens if we decide to go beyond this.
Absolutely. That's why we're not doing it tonight.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Seeing no other questions before us, all those in favor of placing this for introduction, say aye. 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 Any opposition? No? Excellent. So I think I just want to take a few seconds as the chair. My face tells more and my tone tells a lot. And I have concerns when we as a community want something and we say we want to be affordable, we want to be fair, and then we say, but I don't want this in my community, or it doesn't match the need. We know we can't build a $700,000 house and make it affordable. We know that. So I believe we, as the council, are doing the best that we can to make things happen. By no means, and I want to apologize to ETHS students if they feel slighted, because I felt slighted for them. I think what they produce is a great product. So I don't want those students to be discouraged. I don't want the program to not exist. Can we make modifications? Yes, we can. We can make those suggestions, but then we change the affordability of things. And we have to understand that. So if you noticed that I was short, wasn't in the best of moods, yes, because we all have to figure out how to live together. And my $300,000 house can't look like the $1 million mansion. And we say we want to be affordable. So we've got decisions to make, realities to come to truth with. So I just needed to say that because I got quite a few texts like, uh-oh, you're mad. Yeah, I'm disappointed. So I own that, and I'll take a quick break for the next meeting, but I still feel the same way, that if we want to be affordable, that's what it takes. Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.